Look, all I'm saying is if Age of Empires was realistic, we're clearly using Star Wars clone trooper aging technologies to make them grow up quick enough. And with that, ladies and gents, it's grand finals time. Midweek muster number 11. And it is going to be a matchup between Anatan and his former faction here, his former team. We've got 3D Clan's Cat in the blue as the Japanese. Anno, now with Fox as the Mongols. Anno, been looking really clean, actually. Cat, very scrappy set of series to get him here. But, you know, this is a guy that was able to pretty much dance the dance all the way through his series. Not just with Numadon this week, but with the reigning former champion B in the previous weeks. So definitely wouldn't write him off as just a 4-0. I would give a slight favorability here to Anatan. I think Anatan has proven himself a little bit better, especially in these longer series. But Cat, also similar to Anatan, does have that layer of creativity you've always got to keep an eye out for. So, that in mind, Japan versus Mongols. What are we thinking here? Looking at that tree line? Oh, Magadai your heart out, potentially, right? With just a Falcon over the top, you could do a lot of damage here. I like the idea of just a small group of Magadai if you can get away with Anno, just simply because the thing about this map is that there's no such thing as a truly safe tree line. Unless you're Mongols, right? In which case, you're right next to it. But for any standard civ, look at this. Far off tree line, far off tree line. Close tree line is so thin, or rather in this case, long and very thin. Usually this would be an advantage against certain civs. So for example, against like an English all-in timing, might be very difficult for the Lombos to always reach and always see. But for Mongols in particular, this type of spawn isn't going to phase them at all. Curious how the boys have done on the sheep hall. It looks like it's neck and neck split. Now, reminder, I was told this week that apparently with the sheep spawns, they're a little bit fixed on this map. They're not random. So the players are probably aware of that. They've already optimized their pathing. It wasn't an intended element of adding wilderness, but I am curious as to how people would feel about that type of thing. I don't know if I'd want sheep to necessarily be the thing I'd keep anchored in a spawn. But now knowing that we can actually mix fixed things into generated spawns, there are certain elements I think could be very intriguing to experiment with, like gold veins and definitely sacred sites. Definitely has some potential to it. No water play coming in yet, by the way. This is to be expected for Cat. You can't really go for water. For Anatan's, I thought he might try and sneak out on it, but when you know it's likely going to be Coca Township, you feel like you're not going to get much value there. So instead, Deerstone already in the way. Potentially, we see a villager being pulled before he completes the tech up. This isn't exactly an aggressive timing on that tech, by the way. Only 3 villagers on the Deerstone. Love the use of the Gur. Like, these are actually, I'd say, the 2 best civs at using the starting pond. For the Japanese, it's because you need to build houses. So these are your food drop-off locations. And then for the Mongols, you start with a Gur that you can always move. And Coca is much later on starting the timing here. So they should be close to mirrored on completion of tech. What's your follow-up? I guess for Cat, like, you know, you could just go for the classic horseman play. Normally you're a little bit deterred by that because your opponent does a Rax Rush, but this wasn't one of those games. Japan was Civ? Like, so there's been an argument about Jean maybe being worse. I think Japan is worse in terms of its options being so limited. It can't play crossbows, right? It doesn't have proper crossbows, and crossbows is like a bread and butter of the current meta. Is there a worse Civ overall? I can kind of understand the Jean for. I think the thing with Japan is Japan feel very linear. The only reason they don't feel completely unpickable and competitive is because of this build here. Like, the Coca Township build is the one reason why I'd say they can function currently. Without it, I don't think the Civ has any identity other than rushing castle literally every single game. Ottoman. Actually, yeah, I almost forgot about Ottomans. Ottomans are weird. I think Ottomans are probably still a little bit underexplored at the moment, but they do feel similar to Japanese, economically weak in the early age. Look at this. Are you kidding me? They both went for dock drops at almost the exact same time. Unfortunately for Cat, looks like he took an extra stab to the face. He actually has to back away there. He'd lose the Shiv War. It's going to get a lot worse because the Khan is coming. I mean, I know, he just needs to commit onto that villager. Now that he sees that it's back in action. Because if he waits too long here, it's actually going to become a fight that Cat can potentially win. So I know it's going to move in with the Khan now. A little bit surprised he didn't actually move across to Shiv here. Because he could have actually completely blocked the dot play. So we'll complete his dock first. Wait, what? I don't think Anno realizes, right? Because he could kill for sure. Shiv's going to come out now, and oh no, he bails. Oh no. I think he actually might have got the completion there if he just committed. Shinobi is now here though, so Anatan not able to get anything in effect, not even near with arrow slits. Keshiks have been queued up though. And Cat, usually the play here is to go either horseman or archery range, but considering it's Keshiks, is there a chance that Cat does something a little bit different here? This isn't AoE 2? No. You have to multiply it by 2, and then you're on point. Believe it or not, there are many AoE games. Not AoE 3 for much fun, though. Pour one out for those poor lads. So, Torch coming in. This is what surprised me a little bit about Anatan's play. I feel like with the Mongol-Japanese matchup, if you're going to do water, you do it straight away so you can at least get your fishing boats out, right? Because if you wait until this point, Coca Township always does this to you. We'll better get the archer ship out. Shinobi already patrolling the shore. Meanwhile, the Keshiks are going to dive in on land. Well played there, actually. He's going to find some worker kills. He even stops the outpost going up. So Cat in a little bit of a pickle right now. Still, he's the one with an eco lead, right? He's ahead of Anatan by 1 villager. We'll just commit onto the outpost, able to get it up. And that'll be enough to scare the Keshiks away. No, Anatan. Big mistake made here. He didn't respect the Shinobi. He snuck the dock, or at least attempted to. So, just kind of feels like this is the type of play now where, yeah, unless you want to add in a force to patrol, or rather escort the villager, you're just kind of killing yourself, right? I still can't get over how the Shinobi look like they're holding butter knives, really, when they swing. You guys ever realize that? Like, when these Shinobi swing that sword, they almost look like someone who's never held a blade before, you know? They almost look like they're worried about cutting themselves. Like, ooh. That's why I think half the time they choose to just kick people instead. Look at this. We have a rotation towards that tree line we highlighted earlier. I mean, it's kind of weird, Keshik versus Shinobi. You'd think that Keshik just outright win. But you have to get a commitment that gets a kill, right? Because like with good Shunshins and pull-aways, like the Shinobi survive and heal, but the Keshiks can only heal if they can attack something. Outpost also falling something. I mean, Anatan, despite the messy, unnecessary attempt to get on water, I don't think he's dead here. Cat has nothing. And he's adding in Raxes. Oh, no. Okay, there we go. That instills more confidence. The Rax player was kind of questionable. The stables 100% make sense. Because, like, once again, you know, if you just add in Horsemen with Shinobi, you can block the Keshiks with the Horsemen, and then the Shinobi just come in and kill, right? Dive in by the Keshiks, though. Shivs even come out. Cat actually did accidentally chop through that tree line. Didn't even mention the Uber placement is pretty dirty for this, right? Like, it's actually forward production to push into your opponent. B versus Numenor got to be one of the biggest upsets of all times. I mean, it was crazy. Like, I got to give credit to him. It's funny as well because Numenor's strategy that destroyed B in game 3 failed against Cat, right? And they pretty much played what looked like almost a similar style. But shows that Cat, despite the fact that you'd expect him to just come in with the same strategies that you've seen from B, he has his own iterations, is what you can learn from him. Carrying spears is kind of unusual for Japan. It's very rare that you'll see Japan go spears and it not look or feel bad. Yeah, because at this stage, would you not rather just produce Shinobi, right? Like, once again, you know, just blunt the Keshik charge with the Horseman and then let the Shinobi win. And Shinobi are more versatile, right? They have better movement speed, they have higher base damage, they have an ability of getting out of a jam, pretty easy peasy, and yeah, you pay a little bit more for Shinobi, but you know, in terms of statistics, it's definitely worth it. Like, sure, spears have 10 more health, but well, they don't heal over time. And the damage is less than half. So, still no Magadai shuffle here by Anno. Which is really surprising. I think when that tree line was up was the guaranteed time. But now the cat has completely condensed himself. Like his entire economy is on one screen. There wouldn't be much value in Mangu. And hold on a second. Anatand, if at first you don't succeed, give up, you're a failure. But when you don't listen to someone telling you that, try again. And either you will get on water or you'll have no villagers left. Anatand, third time's going to be the charm here. He snuck on the west side. As the archers patrolling. At this point, Cat is quite pinned because you can see what he's trying to do. Problem is he needs gold and... wait, what? What is this tree line? That was seen. Cat knows that Anatan just ran out here. I'm gonna try to bait him. I'm confused by Cat's macro right now. He's got so much food, he's not spending it, but he's not gathering gold either. Like, what was the intent here? Kind of feels like you're speedrunning a loss right now. Guys, I know what it is. See, cats don't have opposable thumbs, and all that food is in a can. You need opposable thumbs to use a can over there. That's kind of all I've got, right? I can't explain what else is happening. I guess he's out of wood, right? But like at this stage, you would have thought just drop a marketplace. Rush for a tree, but finally he's going to move out. This is a horrible miss macro as a result. I mean, I say miss macro. Anatan forced him into this position with his tree lines. That's the thing. Even spears, horsemen, shinobi, all of them going to require a secondary resource here. Like, honestly, I think still, even now for Cat, it might be worth dropping a marketplace just in case this happens again. Oh god, it is happening again. He only has Tawada as well, so movement speed not that great for the villagers when they have to keep running away like this. Cat has at least got the outpost up, but Anatan with a sizable quantity of archers to pound into him here. Villagers also now starting to get sniped. The Keshiks are going to turn onto the outpost. That's 5 villagers inside right there. On top of that, the spearmen, they can't even get in. The villagers are actually body blocking the real military units here. I don't see how this is ever meant to work for Cat. Anno spreads the line. Attack speed gets activated. Those are villagers, guys. They may have very pretty kimonos on, but they're about to get a little bit too red. He's dead. Game 1 to Anachad. What a way to do it. Full ward starvation. Chat says, love the quick games today. Ahaha. Oh, folks. Welcome back to Borderlands. That's become a meme. This Civ, this map. Sometimes you just get treated to a casual hour-and-a-half long game. Let's see if this is going to be one of them. Anatan on the Malians. Cat with his French pick. This was the second pick of his draft, of his 6 choices coming out here. Interesting considering he also had Chinese, Ayu, Jean, all civs that could potentially play this map. French are decent, and I know for Cat, this is more than anything, I think, a comfort pick for Borderlands. He wholly believes that this is the go-to civ. Most of his games will be in French from what we've been seeing here. The Malians, man, this map feels born for them, right? The Farimba rush strategies really get crazy on this particular map with how exposed everything is. And I think that's the same reason why Cat went for French, right? Like with these very limited tree lines that are not well insulated, French night raids can be insanely impactful. Awkward part about this pick, like you're doing it against Malians on a map which has outpost rushing is almost like the chef's kiss, the default behavior against them. French isn't really going to commit to that. We've seen a few games historically where French have outpost rushed the Malians on, say, Gorge, but it just fell off. It's not really a build that remained popular at all. Anatan doesn't like long games? I mean, you say that. Sometimes he's responsible for them as well. Is the matchup always Knight Archer versus Javelin Donzos? I think you can change the narrative here. Cat's the type of player that would just go Knights if he can. So I think for French, like your winning play here is to try and keep your opponent bogged down in feudal, but scale towards castle, right? So you pro scouts, you keep scaling knights, and then you go for a raw institute play here. Malians, if you can actually force your opponent to commit long feudal and diversify his comp, I think Mass Javelin Donzos has a really nice transition to Castle Age. I don't want to say it's a Javelin Ear type game, but potentially. The reality is you'll probably be going Fulani Just because when I think of like the firmer options, the one that would make most sense to me would probably be Mass Mansa Musafadi later on. But I think against Royal Institute, it just gets you killed before it gets online. That leaves what? Javelineers or Freeborn? Well, Freeborns are going to be very tanky, but against Mass Knights, pointless. And for Javelineers, you still need that very, very long feudal first. And yes, you must have missed the bet. We usually set it up so you can gamba for the first 2 minutes of the game. School of Cavalry now on the way, so nothing unorthodox here. The map really isn't designed to allow for chamber commerce. The trade posts are way too close, even if you trade to the enemy one. Believe me, I've watched an Ivan player trade to the enemy one, and the money just isn't that good. How do you guys gamba? Let's see. 75% for Anatan. Damn. I mean, I know that game one looked pretty dominant. I think Cat just kind of got bent over the barrel. In theory, the roles are reversed in this one. It should be Cat that's able to apply pressure, and Anatan has to play defensive. We do have the mill already coming up. I guarantee that Pro Scout's going to be on the way. And we already see the same from Cat. Cat's one of those guys who doesn't even like to move one tile to place a mill. It's kind of comical considering just how close the berries spawned here. But realistically, like, you shouldn't need to touch berries for the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. And sorry, let me flip that. Yeah, it's because the score was toggled to flip. Just a reminder, guys, it's Anatan leading. So where do we see an exposed point for Anno in this spawn? In some ways, he kind of lucked out, right? Triple back tree line, easily wallable flanks. I don't know, man. This looks like a really good spawn for a Malian player, bar if you got Outpost Rush, right? If you get Outpost Rush, it would have been catastrophic with 4 gold. He's got Retracted Gold. He's got wallable area. Berries if things really ever get that dire, but it shouldn't matter. I think overall, this is going to be very difficult for Cat to aggro past, say, like 8 or 9 minutes in the game. And I like the build. He is going for the initial knight while queuing up pro scouts. We've seen some players instead prioritize massing scouts. Don't think it's worth it to give up that first knight. First knight can be pretty impactful, especially with these tree lines being so loose. Looks like sheep pool is pretty much even, right? 15 sheep to 13. What won't be even is the scout game. Ah, I know. It's going for the rushed warrior scouts here. We've seen some players just bypass. In fact, I think in his last Malian game, he didn't bother with warrior scouts until he had several scouts out already, right? He just queued up the normal scouts and dealt with the upgrade later. Probably feels like he wants to have an ability to contest the enemy scouts with how tightly mirrored the pro scout timing is. A Cat is going to have a slight edge. That's to be expected with the discounts you get. Back gold is partly blocked by berries. You're correct. I think there's like, what, 2 to 3 houses you can't place. But overall, it's still something you can actively tap. That's the most important detail. And even though the berries are annoying, you'd still rather take the safety that you're getting from there. All right, we've seen the V for victory walling to protect your resources. This is not a V. This is a C and an I. That is incredibly defensive. It's such a tiny wall as well. A tiny tree line, rather. It won't necessarily even protect him for that long. Still, what this means is Anatan doesn't have to rush Donzos. He can just completely blob scouts because he knows that this is all a distraction, right? Although Cat wants to scale knights, that initial knight isn't about, I'm going all in on you. It's about guaranteeing he gets more deer off of the map. See ya, Ezra. All right, there goes my son. Back to the main house. He was pretty good today. Didn't have a full panic attack. Didn't start crying at me like someone on Reddit telling me that Byzantines is OP. I'm impressed. What a lad. So Archer Ranger's coming in. So Cat is going to diversify the pool here. In fairness to him, though, Anatan has had to react Donzos, right? So this is working out quite nicely. Usually your warriors, your opponent's going to just go straight into Javelin Donzo when you're French. But in the Pro Scouts meta, things kind of change, right? Like, you get this advantage of your landmark being the inherent thing that people want to go into anyway. So Deer has been mostly split. I like the way that Cat's dividing the map. He doesn't want to directly contest this many scouts because his knights will get kited, right? Like, if Anno's sending everything to one location, he sees a scout, he can just jump on it, kill it, move on. So to avoid that plague, Cat is just going to focus knights down the center and spread his scouts out everywhere. getting more deer. I'd say it's like a close to 50-50 split so far. Ano should start to pull ahead, though. Like, he's got more scouts in the field. They move quicker. It's just maths at that point, right? Like, unless you can start sniping these boys out, you're going to have a problem. Maybe I'll start chasing back. Ano, not the best micro there. A little bit sloppy. Yeah, he's not paying attention right now. He's looking elsewhere. He was trying to deny the scout over here. At least forced him to drop, but does lose troopers unnecessarily. His initial night charges are really nice when you actually connect from that side. You basically get the almost immediate follow-up hit, which stops your opponent from getting the deer that deep. So, first Donzos are starting to arrive here. Cat does need to move up the archers. It'd be nice to have them to finish off the warrior scouts as well. This is a very chaotic way for both of them to play the game, actually. I mentioned before how I think most pro scouts players aren't even remotely engaging in a fun way, because it's just almost toxic. This is one of the rarer examples where you actually get this crazy dance back and forth. And I think part of that is actually credit to Borderland. And part of that is also due to the playstyles from Ano and Cat. Ano, a lot of spearmen coming out now. I think Cat may be a little bit over-leveraged into knights at this stage. Yeah, he's going to get pushed away. It's concerning, right? Because, like, warrior scouts obviously don't get bonus damage against archers, but they have decent base damage. And on top of that, they will heal over time, unlike you. So Cat's in kind of a fragile state where the wider you have to play this map, the better Malians looks. Still a lot of deer left on the flanks, admittedly. So what Cat can now do, and I think what he has to do, is he has to choose one side and commit to it. I don't think he can dance both sides of the map. If he does that, it's just going to favor Malians. So what he's doing instead, it looks like he's trying to cut the return of the deer, but also positioning himself as such that he can dive into the enemy base. Crafty strategy here. Difficult to do when there's this many Donzos, though. Another tricky part is Anatan's transition into sofa play here. Give him a healthy front line, someone to try and approach the archers. The Cat, we're probably going to be seeing an extra archery range coming in a sec. Yeah, it's now on the way. Looks like the rest of the deer are being spotted being pulled here, so we'll be able to reflect the movement, and with the following up army, he should be able to force a drop of all deer. Tan definitely seeming reluctant here. I mean, I think even without this deer pack, he's slightly ahead on the overall haul. Donzos are now reacting. Cat could get pretty crafty here if he just sends a few knights into the base while this is happening. He might be scared he needs everything in this engagement, though. Oh, man. Ano's baiting him right now. These two warrior scouts are wasting a lot of the firepower. Yeah, that was a bit miss micro there by Cat. Does at least scout the sofas, stops them from getting engaged, but now the archers are just going to get mopped up. Without archers, we know what happens next. The Donzos should be able to massacre this. Sofa a little bit wasteful there from Anos. He's also getting baited. Do both of them with these scouts? I know it's a pro scout meta, but maybe we should focus more on the dangerous army than the deer herders. How does pro scouts measure versus them? What, you mean warrior scouts? Warrior scouts have, what, 110 health, I think it is. And an archer does 5 damage base. So it takes 22 shots to kill. Nice pinch there. Almost gets double knight. However, just enough archers that Ano might struggle to turn around here. I mean, luckily for him, the formation shuffling is making it a bit awkward for the knights to get on top of him. Does end up getting a little bit too close. Chivalry has just been queued up, but that's awkward, right? Like, Cal wants to keep attacking. In fairness, I think he lost most of the injured knights, though. He hasn't been pulling them away as much as he normally would. Shows you how kind of chaotic these fights must be feeling for him. Yeah, the warrior scout's 110 health. So it's 22 shots by default for an archer to kill. Oof. And these archers don't seem to be killing enough. Ano with a big A click. The issue is it's not just warrior scouts, it's now sofas, and sofa's base damage is competitive with these knights. He's getting swarmed. Cat just caught out of position here. Has to try and turn to get that charge out. I'm not sure what that click was. Oh, no. He selected archers with the knights and then clicked to attack a Donzo. So a lot of wasted effort there leads to more losses. And there is a growing risk that this could begin to snowball. I think Cat's stuck. If he could have maybe had this happen, say, 2 or 3 minutes later, he would have had a good enough economy lead that it's okay. This doesn't look okay. We have javelins getting added in. That's how far forward Anatan feels right now. And Cat, when you see these many Donzos, you can't just say, okay, I'm only going to build knights, right? You have to keep balancing the affair, which means you're basically building into your counter. Cat forget to make bills at some point? Possibly. Like what, per minute? So per minute should be 0.4 of a villager ahead, I think it is. Let's say every 2.5 minutes you have an extra villager, right? So this stage in the game, he should have like roughly 5 to 6. I think he's fine. I think this is correct. Maybe a slight bit of idle time, but nothing crazy. Okay, things are about to get crazy though. This is 14 sofa now. Oh, this is getting ugly. Are we doomed to have more very quick Grand Finals Thursdays? Because right now, like, this is not looking great for Cat. Remember, this was his second pick of the draft. It's not like it was a throwaway pick, someone he prioritized at the end, didn't really care about. No, he valued this immediately after China. So what's this play out of this? I mean, realistically, Anatan got more food, right? So you can't just play the Pro Scout's logic to save your life. I mean, he's literally on berries right now. It shows you how bad it's gone for Cat. Oh god, it's getting worse. That might actually just be it. That's a huge hit! Okay, so here's how it gets better for Cat. If you go to game 3, you start on the same number of villagers again. With the same amount of deer in your base as your opponent. It's the beauty of Age of Empires 4. Because I don't think there's anything pretty left in this game for him. He's dead. Anno's getting ready to just push it on in, right? Like, look at the fields. So many troops coming across. He doesn't even hang around. So 2 on the board now for Anno. The question that's starting to rise up in people's mind, can Cat even put a dent in Anna, Chad? Someone check his pulse. Is he actually alive? He needs to kick. He needs to flail. He needs to prove that we shouldn't be taking off life support here. Cat whips out his best pick in game number 3 of this best of 7 grand finals. Chinese going up against Anatan's Byzantines. Now, this man is probably, I don't know if I want to say the most, definitely one of the most by far creative Byzantine players in Age of Empires 4. Probably one of maybe 2 people that would consider using the neutral trade posts in multiple games wherever they can, no matter the map. He's definitely a creative player on the Biz. And I'm wondering how he wants to try and approach this, because we are talking about a Pro Scouts meta that crippled Byzantine's volatility, their potential to win games. This Civ doesn't play Pro Scouts. They have to play to block it. On a map like Cliffside, blocking it is possible. The distance to the enemy base is not that far. Unfortunately, the gold spawns are more defensively oriented around the back. That being said, if you ever get in position here, you'd be like, oh, China loses. They can't gather gold. Oh, sweet dear child of mine. If that was only the case. This Civ and their taxation is outrageous. So with that in mind, if you're looking for things to block, the cool thing is with being a forward tree line, a big one, you would also be potentially blocking the deer, right? Normally. Unfortunately, Cat got kind of the perfect spawn against a Byzantine aggro build. Double deer back. If you go longbows or javelins, how the hell do you get here and stay there? It doesn't seem realistic. Yeah, so now I'm starting to wonder, maybe with this type of spawn, does Anno just try to target a fast castle timing? Right? Obviously get your initial units, get a little bit of aggro out, but end goal be just get into H3. What units are on the market? I mean, we've got Musafadi, which isn't worth it. Camel Archers, not really worth against China. Zhugnu, not really worth it. Like, it's very rare against the Civ that can actually build the unit. Do you want to build the unit? right? Like English versus Byzantines, you sometimes see longbows, but it's because of the timing. But say, like, if you're against a Malian player, do you really ever want to be getting javelin contract? Probably not, because they'll build a lot more than you. And China, although they need to get the barbican first, will be able to out-jig you. So there's not any neutral trade post shenanigans here. The most obvious one that a player like Anno would look for is Sipahi. Slight potential for Maganai, just because China isn't going to be able to rush shoot. I think Imperial Academy is already out. And this is the no IO build, by the way. This thing has just been way too popular in the current meta. A lot of players have just fully embedded themselves with this type of build. Like the fact that he added in the mill early, right? Even though he doesn't have the taxman to inflate the amount he gets, what he does have already sitting here is 95 coin waiting to be picked up. He's immediately going to drop it off. Yeah, this is a lot of gold because obviously with the pro scouts, you need it. That's the difference, right? It's either that you have to tap the vein with, say, 4 villages the whole time through, which just doesn't feel great. Especially when afterwards, without wheelbarrow, you have to pull them back. So Limitane opening it is, which means we're likely going to be seeing javelins out of Anno. Good way of at least protecting those spearmen. The challenge now is getting those spears in position. We mentioned how far off it is, and I wonder, Anno, yeah, he's only now revealing these parts of the map. At this stage, he has to be looking, going, where's the other deer? Right, he hasn't scouted down here. He's in for bad news. Sometimes this type of deer stack placement is really bad for a player. Like if your opponent has a good all-in timing, say like an H3 player. But when you're playing a smaller elite comp that has an easier risk of getting caught out of position, you hate to see these double back spawns. Feels like a game ender against you. So, do we have some cat believers this time? Okay, that inspires some confidence. 43% of the people voted for cat this time. So not as grim of a tale for once. I mean, for me, it is Anna that needs to do something more creative here to convince me. Right. And that is a great start. Of course. Why would you even bother getting pro scouts when you can just ruin theirs? I mean, it's weird because it feels like this is something that people have started to forget to do, which is killing the deer. Right? Like, if you guys remember, when we had the deer shove meta in full swing, every game, the scout would run and kill the deer to stop you doing it. But weirdly enough, you'd think with the pro scouts meta, people would be more aggressive about killing the deer. They aren't. Time and time again, I see these type of plays work, and I'm kind of shocked at how often it's allowed. Even more so when the player on the other side is Cat. Cat, B, they've been leading the pack for these kind of roost pro scout builds where they shove in the deer. He didn't expect it at all from Biz. Now, does Biz want to gather from the deer? Not necessarily, right? You want to be an omnivore. However, it's better than eating sheep, and the most important detail is you screwed over your opponent. It's not even as much that he wants it. It's that he now knows Cat can't have it. And also, it means that he can now focus on the other deer stacks. You remember what we said about pro scouts and why it's so good? Like, there's just so many options. It's impossible to not get something. Well, you just remove one of the good options. And now, everything else is south side facing. So, Keshik's another interesting detail in this build from Anno. I wonder if we were going to be getting the jabs just because, yeah, archers are coming, but no, instead he goes into the heavy cav. Interesting. Horseman follow-up as well. Yeah, so this helps Anno turn a bit because now Cat's countering a phantom, right? Horsemen don't exist. Sorry, the archers don't exist for the horsemen to counter, right? No lombos, no javelins. Rough start there, though. Anno just blindly running in. He's going to regret doing so. We do have the archery ranges now getting laid into the cake. I think he needs to sniff what's coming next. You can see. This is intentionally being hidden by Cat. It's kind of interesting he's going into archers considering that your opponent has gone pro scouts, which means he has a stable already, right? A different angle to take. Another cool thing about this Keshik idea is, remember, both the longbows and javelins a while back, they had the cost nerf. They cost more now. But the Keshiks were unchanged, so they're still only 400 for the two, right? Whereas longbows, javelins, they have a premium to them compared to the normal unit costs. Is that me or is Cat getting too much? Like, despite that initial deer shove, I don't know, it kind of feels like Anatan is maybe bogged down here. I mean, once you have 4 Keshiks, you should be capable of raiding. It's just still tricky due to the movement speed, right? Like, you could never necessarily get clean kills on the scouts. One interesting thought here is if Anno can find a way to rush castle, you will have golems coming against mass archers. I just don't see a world in which he rushes castle here. We need idle scout signal? Oh, yes. Let's make pro scouting even easier. Of course. Nice usage of... Was that Akratoy? No, that was just a walk away. I'm surprised, actually, that there wasn't more damage done on that villager. He is switching over the deer now. Anno not able to get any more gold gathering in. He was only able to actually secure undermesh, which is quite problematic here, actually. Steel arrow is kind of a deal breaker. Especially if your opponent now has undermesh coming for his horseman. Keshik, in the meantime, are going to be diving underneath the TC. And this just feels kind of like a sour moment, right? Like, yes, you've idled the deer stat location, but look at the remaining health pool. Between these Keshiks, there's maybe about 45% health left compared to what should be there. I mean, this is good for Cat, right? Because if this many Keshik almost dead, you don't even have to panic and go in racks. Like, you could, but you could probably just rely on your archer blob being big enough to snipe them as they charge in. And your TC being strong enough to protect now. Is he trying to shove more deer? No, I think he's just waiting for the scouts to rotate. Dare I say this game looks good right now for Cat? I feel like I shouldn't say that. I know some of you believe in caster curses. And that might summon one. In theory right now, this game looks better for Cat at 10 minutes than any game in this series so far. And no, Cat has been pro scouting the whole time. He's even going to get punished for trying to snatch those. I know, it's a lot of injured Keshiks. Is there a world in which Cat gets forced to go into spears to counter Keshiks? I don't think so. More likely, we might actually see a Juke transition coming. He's actually stockpiling a lot of wood right now, which is a little bit surprising. So, some being invested in the outposts. Is this just castle and then a switch into, like, triple racks? I think so. Which is pretty damn crafty. I mean, I know the idol on the gold has forced him out to the north side. He has at least got the system buff clipping in range. But his army is mostly just relegated once you reach castle by pass guard, right? Archers, the Lamatane, even the Keshiks. Like, Keshik just feels like a worse knight. Okay, scrap that. It's just Lancers. No, so no plane to PG. I thought on a map like this it would be worth it as well. It's a short distance into the enemy base, right? Hero Pass is going to be coming in, so that'll let Cat know of any raid directions that things are hitting from. I know. He's getting ready to mirror this. Now, is this going to be a Sippy Cup build? It doesn't seem likely. It's got, what, 12 sheep? Not that many olive groves. The tricky part is, like, does Gulam have value here if your opponent's going Lancers, right? I've talked about this before, where this contract feels really bad in Castle Age. Because your entire comp gets countered by crossbows. In theory, Anno has protected himself against that with the archers, but in practice, the reality is crossbows will still get spammed as the age goes on. So, tech up complete. Cat has got the veterancy coming in. First Lancer just got queued. Now, I imagine Cat might look to rush into a temple here. Because you want to try to find a way to inflate your economy. The longer this age has been going on, the better it's been getting for Cat. For Anno, rather, because look at this. He's already at level 5 system. At 12.5 minutes into the game. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't know. Is that bannable? Like, I'm not dev, don't ask me. All I'd say is if you're playing Byzantines and you're not drawing a penis with your aqueducts, so you're really doing it right. Well, torch damage coming in. Cat just trying to apply a bit of pressure. He knows Anatan must be teching. It's even more obvious when he doesn't want to fight him. There's a pretty good window here for Cat. In the next minute, he can just branch off with the Lancers to hit the economy. Everything is back facing Bano, right? Zol Eco hiding behind this TC. Flash comes in. The veterancy isn't there yet for Anatan. Keshiks. Archers, all of it. None of it being upgraded currently. So Cat getting the best trade he's going to be able to, but the Archer upgrade is about to tick in. Anatan does have favorable numbers there, but what he doesn't have is favorable front line. Only one Limitane and one Keshik left alive. Freelance is still partying in the base here. Good micro from Anatan to snipe them down, but now he needs to deal with a heavily armored beast. He's going to pull the villagers. Shiv's out on a nice pokey stick here with the Akratoy defense, but the Lancer wave, the second one shows up right in the middle of that. It's going to force him backing away. He doesn't have textiles either. Akratoy defense only has 15 seconds left, and it's already ranged armor too, which means these guys are not dying anytime soon. Cat, he may finally be on the board with this type of move. He needs to make sure the Lancer pump keeps coming, and it most definitely is. He's got 10 more queued up at home. At this stage, either supervise or add in extra stables, because this is very overkill. It's not efficient. He could have that killing blow if he just had a few more production buildings right now. More Keshiks are at least going to come out. Anatan trying to stabilize a bit. The crossbows also trickling out, but that means the Lancers can easily bring them down. Range force for Anno is a little bit lackluster here. We'll be able to force pump out additional Keshiks. What looked like a dominant game-ending push has slowed down a bit, but it definitely has reaped rewards. 12 worker kills at the end of that. A scaling lead now for him. An opportunity to potentially switch into this relics while Anatan has to lick his wounds. This is rough for Anno. And these Keshiks aren't going to win against the Lancers, right? He needs more troops so he can kind of heal sustain and switch aggro between them. And Cat has kind of been handed a cost-efficient comp now. Going Lancers is really expensive. It burns through resources fast, but with Archers remaining the optimal choice for him, it makes this logical. It makes what should be an economy that can begin to weaken a little remain strong. Dive coming in now. Villagers aren't moving away either. They're just standing here. The Archers can snipe them down. The Keshiks are trying to buy time so the crossbows can carry this. Good micro from Anno. He's getting a lot of kills. Cat is still not switching off of this. 10 more Lancers queued up. At this stage, you'd think maybe Horseman might be viable, because the worry I have is the more he does this, yeah, the more the food runs out. At some point, Cat didn't hoover what little deer remained. He's already out of superior food gathering rates to work with. So, Anno has a state of execution. He's now looking to play onto the relics. Cat has no chill. He's looking to play into the enemy base again. It's kind of weird that Cat hasn't done anything to further inflate his eco. Like, sure, you know, he's got a cool economical lead with the 13 worker kills. But we don't have Song. We don't have 2 TC. We don't have granaries. Like, nothing. He's just continuously pumping knights. If Cat loses this game, it's going to be because he didn't bother to supervise. Like, it's the thing that's actually killing him right now. Either supervise or add in, 3 more stables. Either one feeling fairly doable at this stage. Archer ranges as well, right? Like, at this stage, could you have maybe rebalanced your eco so you're not always queuing up 3 Lancers in every single stables? Instead, have double the Archer pump coming. This is also kind of a stage where maybe not having the Nestor Beast feels bad, right? Because he didn't go for the Clock Tower, he went for the Imperial Palace. But if you think about it, Anatan is kind of locked down, right? He's playing small, slow comp, and he's leaning hard into crossbows. Like, Nestabes would have broken this. So we do now have the Monk switch upcoming, very aggressive in Cat. Lancers are rotating and should be able to stop that one relic, but Cat isn't paying full attention. It's finally going to pull one off. Good to know. I think that Monk saw the wider rotation, though, right? Army's already moving north. Archers really need striking on the front side. We'll be able to block out the Monk. Mango Outpost is going to reveal itself, so Cat not able to get in there either. The gold is gone from the front side. Now, that is one problem here for Anno, is he actually has no gold access whatsoever right now. Vicious walls as well from Cat. Should be able to get them up just in time. Alright, ones if you think Anno's going to win this, twos if you think Cat's going to take it. Because Anno seems to be getting a lot more than he should here. However, I'm a bit slow to react. Oh, just can they actually penetrate this Limitani line fast enough? I like this though, start peeling off some lances and go hunting. Right? Like, it's all about mobility and raiding here. Instead, he's going to go ahead and brute force the main fight though. Limitani need to be dying a lot faster than this. Lances stand their ground underneath the TC. The Keshik backstab is going to be coming through. And Archers are targeting under the crossbows now. I mean, Defender's advantage dictates that he should not die from this. Most definitely he will not. After all of this effort, Cat. I feel like the last 3 fights have just been complete question marks, right? Anno's about to get 3 relics. He hasn't lost any more villages. On top of that, he's gathering a crap ton of stone here. Likely going to be looking at a castle drop in the center to secure more gold. Right, the 2 forwards. Barbican is interesting from Cat. Very late in the game to be going for this. And also on top of that, looks like he's getting ready for a granary transition soon. This game got weird. I mean, in theory, if Cat can get the granary transition done, right? Thumbs up. Problem for Anatan is like he's kind of peaked out in his scaling here with the systems. Obviously, as you get more villages, going to get a little bit better, but there's no, oh, I'm this far behind, let me add in another layer to the cake. Unless he wants to go for 2 TC, which, I mean, with the Olive Grove count being as it is, I don't think it's well advised. 14 Olive Groves isn't exactly crazy. The moment the scouts come back to try and get those deer, the Keshiks are there again. And no, elevation does not give you more range or damage, just vision. Raid on the back. Let's get 1 worker kill, but most of the Keshiks have been shuttered here. There's a few left. They're doing a great job of buying time for Anna, and with that keep drop, all of a sudden the pressure that made this game feel like a 20-minute GG for Cat is gone. Anatan's in chill mode right now. He has got a second TC coming online. Yeah, so Cat either needs to play for his own economical scaling or he needs to go. But he needs to go more efficiently. And finally he admits it. We've got crossbows coming in. Nestabes, all the slow-moving elements that we wanted to see a long time ago that would have made so much sense for the way Cat was attacking. Lancers are still at least rotating, but nothing seems to be free here. The Mango Towers should make it a little bit more tricky. Cat has already got trebs, so I know not really much stone to work with here, right? He forced rushed on the backside to get what he needed for the TC for the castle. He isn't building that many structures, so like you can see the stone is already going to evaporate. And those lancers on the back actually keep him from just shuffling onto the stone quick enough to keep this fully repaired. Triple Nestabes soon. In fairness, Anatan's comp doesn't really care about knobs anymore. He shifted mostly away from crossbows after the last engagement. So Cat's kind of countering something that doesn't really exist, but in fairness, you know, against Limitane, Nestabes are okay, not crazy. But it is a way of getting through all that range damage reduction from ranged. Right? Because you do siege damage instead. wonder if Cat might actually benefit from just chilling some of these injured lancers at home for healing. Usually it wouldn't be that important in a game when you're deep, but you aren't in farms yet, right? So you can't really afford to lose anything for free. We do now have those power sculpt we talked about earlier. It's been a long wait to get into these, though. The PG crossbow, I really think, is the Chinese winning role here, right? Like, you know, the Lancer play was cute. It was overcommitted to, though, for sure. Is he thinking what I'm thinking? Yeah. We've got 3 sacred sites that can be locked in. He's trying to stop Anatan from just re-inflating back into this game. One awkward thing for Cat, the rate he's going, there's no food left. And he hasn't made a farm transition yet, which means he's in this really uncomfortable position where Nester Bees might not be ideal, but they might be his only option. Shift North will get the decap, but weird time to do that move when you just lost your castle. Mango did also just get scouted. Teardrop Shields is on the way. The villagers aren't being pulled away that quickly, though. Well, there's a few. This is where it'd be a good time to bring those small groups of Lancers back in. You can already see that he's looking for entry points. Yeah, Cat kind of circling the entire base. Nester Bees shots comes in big, though. What little was left of the Nester Bees gets caught. However, Cat is lacking a front line. Lacks the food to really afford one. Nester Bees have to get those shots out. They're looking on the Mango now. Keeps stepping away. He does have the Barbican here. It's going to provide a little bit of protection, but the Ghouling double strikes can mop up the knobs fast. 2 of them already going to be down here. Has to get behind the walls. A bit of an overstep there by Cat. I don't know, maybe he was expecting Anatan to just be more scared, but great read by Anachad. Right now, Cat has made quite the blunder. He overinvested into backline, doesn't have a front line. Once these granaries are set up, that'll fix the problem, but like this has been the thing we've been waiting on, right? It's how clean he can execute the next 2 minutes that matters most here for Cat. If the granaries go up and he still has military lead, this is a doozy. If he slips and Anatan starts to claw in with mass melee blobbing, well, he already has a decent chunk of farms to extend his life in this game. Up to 28 olive groves now, more of them building around the flank. Unironically, he might actually benefit from Springwheels, but the problem is like Cat already has built so much archer and crossbow backline, like you need frontline. If you build Springwheels now, you have nothing to stand there. Wait, I know, just build monks. Yeah, not really the most cost-efficient usage of 150 gold, you know? Well, you guys don't like the farms? Oh, they're great. You know, there's extra spacing here, so you can... Wait, what? So you can not build a farm there? Like... Okay, I'm going to ruin everyone's OCD. There's literally enough room for a farm right there. Oh, just keep looking at it. Keep focusing on it. All right, who just punched the screen? Be honest. I know there's some of you out there that definitely did. Cat was on the verge of punching his screen. Instead, he's punching it like Chewy now. This is looking good. The TC will not last long under this pressure. Trip Trap already setting on fire. More villagers having to be pulled here. Lancer raids have continued to be a little bit of a nuisance. Wait, did you really just say unsubbed when you don't actually have a sub icon next to your name? Yeah, we're calling you out on that. Maybe the TC down. I mean, I know. Oh, that's a nice target. Break the daisy chain, baby. Quite a big chunk of efficiency just lost there, especially with these farms down here that now relegate down to level 1. some blockers against gold. I mean, that's always been the issue for Anatan. He's got a lot of golems, and then he has to add in all the trash. He can't afford anything gold-based. Watson, I think the deal here is you're meant to unverify for bullying the sub. Here's Watson in the chat, folks. Look at that, man. We used to have... I think it was Jen that came across. No, it wasn't Jen. You guys remember the Apex player that came to play AoE4 for a bit? Is this Watson's next trip? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it was Designful. Designful was obsessed with AoE4 for a while. I mean, Anno has to fight, right? He can't give over any more ground here. He'll just lose the game. Horsemen are looking to shuffle around the back here, though. Oh, we may be about to see a fox sandwich. Actually, a big cat sandwich. He'd be stuck in the middle. He's going to go for the rotation with the spearman. Already cut him off. And the STB shots are coming in. Needs to get on top of it here. Cat is now pinned. There is no escaping this. Once again, this man just seems to have a little bit too much range, but is it going to be enough here? I know. The Gulems just aren't able to get in quick enough. They're clambering over each other. The cliffs are actually saving Cat from the full envelopment. You would not believe that that was 30 horsemen. Maybe 30 horsemen destined for the glue factory. Pretty much cough on those things and they'd fall over. A late riser, but the Cat is done snoozing. He strikes back in game number 3.